Hello and welcome to the Kings at Home daily video. My name is Paul Hatton and I'm one of the leaders here at Kings Community Church. It's been so great to see so many people connecting in to these videos. I know many of you Christians, love and follow Jesus, part of the church family here at Kings. Some of you maybe from further afield are connecting in, and it's great that you're here as well. But maybe others are just not sure what they believe about Jesus, but are wanting to find something of the hope that Christians have, something of the joy and the peace that Christians have. And so maybe you're checking in, so welcome to you as well. We're going through each day a New Testament letter called 1 Peter. It was written by Peter himself, probably one of the most famous disciples of Jesus, and we're there in chapter 2, verses 4 to 5 today. So why don't you follow along if you can, maybe pull it up on your device or grab a Bible, physical Bible if you've got one, and we're in verse 4. It says, as you come to him, so as you come to Jesus, the living stone, rejected by humans, but chosen by God and precious to him, you also, like living stones, are being built into a spiritual house to be a holy priesthood, offering spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God through Jesus Christ. So let's just quickly work our way through these verses. It says that as you come to him, the living stone. This is talking about Jesus, coming to Jesus. He is the living stone. We celebrated at Easter that Jesus died, but that he rose again and that he is risen indeed. He is alive today as he was back then. He is alive now, ruling and reigning from heaven. He is alive. And this is great news. He's the living stone. He's the living stone. He is alive. He's not dead anymore. He's not in the grave anymore. He is alive. He conquered sin and death. He conquered evil. He conquered everything that came against God himself. He is alive. He's the living stone. And actually that stone bit is he's the rock. He is our fortress. He is he's the cornerstone upon which God is building everything around and everything on. He is the cornerstone. He's the stone. He's strong. And we can build our lives upon him. And that, that's really the encouragement that Peter is giving us here, is to build our life upon Jesus. I don't know what you're building your life upon today, whether you're building your life upon us finding, humankind finding a vaccine for the virus. Maybe you're building your hope and your peace in your heart upon that. Or maybe it's upon work, and maybe it's upon keeping your job. Maybe you're building your life upon these rocks that bring you security and peace in your heart, that you know if they were to disappear, if they were you were to lose your job, a vaccine was never created, your health was at risk, like never before, then maybe you'd know an anxiety and a fear at that point. Jesus would say, look, build your life upon him. Build your life upon the rock. Build your life upon the one who has gone through the grave and has conquered death and risen again to new life. Build your life upon Jesus. And there are some great books out there for looking at the resurrection. Did he historically rise again? Like, how credible is such a claim? I'd encourage you to look further. Let's continue. It says that Jesus was rejected by humans, but chosen by God and precious to him. Jesus, first and foremost, was rejected by the people when he was walking the earth, but also rejected by the Jews and the Romans who crucified him. And today, people reject him and reject his message of life, the gospel. and choose not to follow him or build their life upon him. So rejected by humans, but chosen by God and precious to him. Jesus is actually the chosen one that God, the Father, the Son, the Holy Spirit decided together that Jesus, the Son, would come in human flesh to live a perfect life, to die the death that we deserved for our rebellion against God, and to rise again to new life, that we might have new life in him, that we might have a hope that goes beyond the grave in him. Jesus is the chosen one. He is precious to God, so very precious. He's the one who came and perfectly fulfilled the will of the Father in his life, his death, his resurrection. Perfectly. He's precious to God, so very precious. Verse 5 says, you also, speaking to Christians, those who have given their life to Jesus, who are walking with him and following him, you also, like living stones. Jesus says we are living stones like him. We have the new life of Jesus coursing through our veins. We are being built into a spiritual house to be a holy priesthood. This is really encouraging, I think, at this time where we are separated from one another, where we can't meet in the same way, and we all recognize that this in the age of Zoom and social media and live streaming, that these are very faint glimpses or reflections really of the beautiful thing that it is to gather together. Peter himself says, do not neglect gathering together. It's so important, and we recognize that it's just not quite the same. And yet the promise is that God is building his church, and that he's building us as living stones. He's constructing us together as Christians, as believers in this, in our church, in Kings, but in the broader church, in this city, in this county, in this nation, and in the world. God is building his church, and he's putting us as living stones, as that structure together. So be encouraged that even though we're miles apart, we're apart from each other physically, that God is still building his church, and he's still building us together. He's still knitting hearts together and building his church, advancing his kingdom. That as God's living stones, we are to offer spiritual sacrifices acceptable to God through Jesus Christ. Let me just leave you with this. Let me encourage you to be offering up these spiritual sacrifices. And this really is just giving up our life to serve Jesus, to love him, and to serve others and to love others. Those are the two greatest commandments. Let us look for every way that we can to love those around us, to love our neighbours, to love those who are vulnerable, those who are on their own, those who are struggling physically, those who are struggling for food, those who are struggling emotionally and mentally. Let's look for every way, every day, to find ways to love those around us. It might be a text, it might be a phone call, it might be writing a letter to someone, it might be going and getting someone's food, whatever it looks like. It might be giving financially to organisations that are helping people around the city, maybe giving to the church, giving to Kings, as we look to love and serve people during this time. We're doing so well, so encouraged by the stories that we're hearing of how you're doing this. Let's continue. We have the great hope of Jesus Christ, that he is risen from the grave and that he conquered Satan, sin and death. This is the good news that we have, and we're able to love people and demonstrate that love in our physical actions, but we can also do that in our words. We can love people by telling them the hope that we have. So let's be on the front foot in that as well, and be encouraged. Bless you, church family.